Shalom, this is Nuben Israel at the Island Hebrew. Today's video is called Egyptologist. Your papyrus proved the biblical Exodus. Your own papyrus proved the biblical Exodus. Listen, if you've been following my channel for some time now, you know I really don't deal with things on Egyptologists. Not too much on the Quran and other religions of the world. I don't deal with it. I don't focus on those things because of Psalm 96. It says, for all the gods of the nations are but idols. They're idols. They're falsehoods. It's demonic. So I try not to deal with that. And I'm going to put it in a more secular framework. I'm going to give you an example from a secular point of view. Take banking. When a new teller comes in, and all their tellers, bank management, they do not teach or tell the new bank tellers to study the counterfeit money. What they tell them is to study the real money, the true money. So when a counterfeit comes along, they can identify it very quickly. So that's what I advise you to, Hebrews. Don't, like if you're not an instructor, because you're an instructor, you got to know about some things in Egyptology, the Quran and the Vedas and the Book of the Dead and other various secular things, because some people have questions. But if you're not, what you need to do is Isaiah 34. Seek ye out of the book of the Most High and read, and none of these things will fail. Meditate on his word day and night. Study to show yourself approved, a workman that needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. That's what you need to concentrate on. But now let's get back to this papyrus. This papyrus called I.P.K, the I.P.K papyrus. Now these Egyptologists on the streets, they're not going to tell you about this papyrus. Most of them know about it, but they ain't going to say nothing about it because, hey, they want to say the Bible's a fairy tale and they're crazy demonic devil head gods are for real, Anubis and all that other crazy stuff. But their own papyruses proves the Bible. In Hebrew, this is just another bullet that you could put in your clip if you ever come along an Egyptologist talking some smack. Just tell them about the I.P.K papyrus. All right, let me give you a little backdrop on it. In the 19th century, a papyrus was found in Egypt. It was taken to the Leiden Museum in Holland and interpreted by an A.H. Gardner in 1909. The complete papyrus can be found in the book Admonition of an Egyptian from a Heretic Papyrus in Leiden. The papyrus describes violent upheavals in Egypt, starvation, drought, escape of slaves with the wealth of Egyptians, Hebrews, do that ring a bell, and death throughout the land. The papyrus was written by an Egyptian named I.P.K and appears to be an eyewitness account of the effects of the Exodus plagues from the perspective of an average Egyptian. Now listen, don't be thrown back when I just said it's the perspective of an average Egyptian. Don't you think that would be the best perspective that you would want? You won't want it from Egyptian elite in Egypt at that time. The elites in the past and the elites now are just liars and devils, extreme devils. You would rather get an eyewitness account from a commoner who's most likely going to tell you the truth with less exaggeration than elites, government officials. You don't want a recount from those type of people. You want it from an average person, like the average Egyptian who wrote the I.P.K papyrus back during the Exodus. Now, I'm going to give you what you can see up here. Hopefully, you can see it because, I had to move my camera sideways because the letters in white and it didn't come clear. So that's why the view is sideways. So let's go through the account of this average Egyptian who lived through the Exodus period and what he recounted. And let's see how it lines up with Scripture. So the I.P.K papyrus says plague is throughout the land. And you can find it in the section of this papyrus, the I.P.K papyrus, in section 2 of the papyrus, how they got it broken down in the papyrus. But we find that account in Exodus chapter 8. It says 7 here, but they made a mistake. I looked it up. This section is Exodus chapter 8:21, not 7:21. They reversed it. So Exodus chapter 8, verse 21. Now remember, the I.P.K papyrus in section 2 says, plague is throughout the land of Egypt. It just says land, but it's land of Egypt because this is in the Egyptian papyrus, okay? So we go to Exodus 8:21. Look what it says. Well, let's go to Exodus 8:20 and 21. It says, and the Most High said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh. Lo, he cometh forth to the water, and saying to him, thus saith the Most High, let my people go, that they may serve me. Verse 21, else if thou wilt not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thy houses, and the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground whereon they are. So it says plagues is throughout the land. And you find that in the Exodus, in the Living Bible, Holy Bible, in chapter 8. All right, let's go to the next one. And listen, you know, I have a lot of flies here, you know, because this is a tropical island. You get a lot of flies in tropical islands. And believe you me, I only got 1 or 2, and I'm able to catch them and kill them. Imagine if you had millions of them all around. It will be a plague. Now the next one says, river is blood. In Egypt, this common average Egyptian is giving his account of what's going on during the time of the Exodus in which he lives. He said the river is blood. We find that in Exodus chapter 7, verse 21. Let's go there. Exodus chapter 7, verse 21. This is what it says. And the fish that was in the river died, and the river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink of the water of the river, and there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. So we got number 2 of the I hopefully I'm saying it right. I.P.K papyrus. We got already 2 with a check mark saying the papyrus is agreeing with scripture. The third one, groaning throughout the land. You find that in Exodus 12, verse 30. Exodus 12, verse 30. This is what it says. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. So, a groaning through the land. We have the I.P.K papyrus agreeing with the biblical account in Exodus 12:30. Now let's go to the next one. Fire mingled with hail in the I.P.K, hopefully I'm saying it right, papyrus, section 9 of the papyrus here. You find that in Exodus 9, verse 23 to 25. So turn to Exodus 9, verse 23 to 25. Okay, this is what you have. And Moses stretched forth his rod toward heaven, and the Most High sent thunder and hail, and the fire ran along upon the ground, and the Most High rained hail upon the land of Egypt. So there was hail and fire mingled with the hail, very grievous, such as there has none like it in all the land of Egypt since it became a nation. And the hail smote throughout all the land of Egypt, all that was in the field, both man and beast, and the hail smote every herb of the field and broke every tree of the field. So again, you have another one, check mark. Fire mingled with hail in the I.P.K papyrus, coinciding with the biblical account of Exodus 9, saying the same thing. Okay, the next one is trees and herbs are destroyed. Let's go to Exodus 9:25, which we just read. And the hail smote throughout all the land of Egypt, all that was in the field, both man and beast, and the hail smote every herb of the field and broke every tree of the field. I don't need to go over, we can do Exodus 10:15 as well. Okay, Exodus 10:15. For they covered the face of the whole earth, so that the land was darkened, and they did eat every herb of the land, and all the fruit of the trees was hail left, which the hail had left, and there remained not any green thing in the trees or in the herbs of the field throughout all the land of Egypt. So you have the I.S.U.P.K papyrus coinciding with the biblical account of Exodus 10:15. Now let's go to the next one. So we got another check mark. Darkness in the land. You find it in the section 9 of the I.S.U.P.K papyrus, and the account is found in the biblical account, Exodus chapter 10, verse 22. Let's turn there. Exodus chapter 10, verse 22, and it reads, and Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. So you have another check mark. The I.S.U.P.K papyrus, papyrus, section 9, coincides exactly with the biblical account found in Exodus 10, verse 22. Let's go to the next one. We're almost done. It says, he who is placing his brother in the ground is everywhere. That means a lot of death. He's burying his family member. He who is placing his brother in the ground is everywhere. It's in the I.S.U.P.K papyrus, section 2 of that papyrus, and we're going to see where we're going to find this in the Exodus account. It's in the biblical account is in Exodus 6 and 12. Let's turn there. Exodus 6 and 12. Let's see what we got. Exodus 6 and 12. This is what it says. And Moses spake before the Lord, the Most High, saying, behold, the children of Israel have not hearkened unto me. How then shall Pharaoh hear me, who am of uncircumcised lips? Okay, so it's given that first account. Now let's go to Exodus. Moses is a little in doubt that he has the power, but he does have the power because he's with the Most High. Now let's go to Exodus 12. Exodus 12, verse 29 and 30. And this is what it says, Exodus 29 and 30. And it came to pass that at midnight the Most High smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne until the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeons, and all the firstborn of the cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. Again, another check mark. He who is placing his brother in the ground is everywhere. The I.S.U.P.K papyrus, again, is siding with the biblical account in Exodus 12, verses 29 and through 30. Now the next one. The animals weep and cattle mourn. We find this in section 5 of the I.S.U.P.K papyrus, and let's see if it coincides with the biblical account found in Exodus 9:3. Found in Exodus 9:3. It says, behold, the hand of the Most High is upon the cattle which is in the field, upon the horses, upon the asses, upon the camels, upon the oxen, upon the sheep. There shall be a very grievous murrain. All right? Another check mark saying that the I.S.U.P.K papyrus coincides exactly with the biblical account found in Exodus 9. And the last one, we bring it to a close. It says, cattle's left to stray in the fields. Find that in section 9 of the I.S.U.P.K papyrus. And let's see if it coincides with the biblical account found in Exodus 9:21. We close here. 9:21. This is what it says. And he that regardeth not the word of the Most High left his servants and his cattle in the field. So there you have it, Hebrews. You have Egyptologists and their beloved papyruses showing the validity of the biblical Exodus and really showing validity to the Bible, which they say is a myth. Listen, Egyptologists, you can't have it both ways. One only reigns supreme, and that's the Holy Scriptures. It's Yahweh's word, laws to the Hebrew Israelites. Most High 10, Egyptologist 0. This is Nubian Israel at the Island Hebrew. Until next time, Shalom.